It's always the same. You start on the physical plane, start detoxing your body to be capable of sensing anything. Then you start working on your lower chakras.
The revolution of healthy living starts here. Feel the power of sea moss, shilajit, black seed oil, and many more organic bio-based superfoods. Discover nature's strength with over 10 collections and 100 products to start living naturally. Unlock your wellness today at mijmineral.com.
Hello everyone, today with a very special podcast, the most important part of where we all need to go to in life in general, which is going into healing and doing this in the right way, start to get into the feeling, being a full emotional being back again. And I'm here with Harald Kautz, our special guest, doing this for such a long time already, giving us a full perspective here today on how we could do this. And he is ready in the think tank, giving thanks to life and giving the thinking, not it's about feeling. This is where we all are coming to now. And thinking, thanking, yes, God bless. Thank you for being here, Harald. Give a like.
Good place to be.
Yes, give a like, subscribe, join the tribe. And he's, as a part of healing this where you are right now in Boltersen, doing this thing, this is also a good step for people that they can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's in German. We have an English podcast, so it's not exactly the right place, but we're coming over to other countries soon. So
you mean
wait for us.
With healing in general?
With the protocols and the healing knowledge. It's a slowly growing community. We have conquered Germany. Next steps will be Austria and Switzerland. First in the German-speaking, North Italy, German-speaking realm. But the other countries are already waiting for getting the opportunity to join.
Oh, we would love to have the protocols and to learn it by ourselves, and just to give them, the viewer, the listeners, a bit of background. You've been doing these healing sessions for how long? With people, like 10 years, 20 years now?
11 years.
And then now you give here, where we are right now, seminars to learn the people how they could do this.
Yeah. I
this
realized
self-healing,
I've got too much to do. I was just overwhelmed with clients, and I realized I have to educate to get the pressure down from me without sending people home without services. So this is how it started, and then it started spreading. And now the first people do it without me, which is absolutely
bombing. Good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful to have reached that point.
Well, is it in healing an important game of then combining multiple holistic practices like alchemy, chiropractic, cupping? I don't even know what you're doing right now here, how this is called, but like you have hypnosis, you have Reiki, you have breath work, you have ice therapy, you have so many things.
It's always too complicated.
The healing in general, you mean?
No, the things you mentioned.
Okay.
It's all ways too complicated. It's much easier.
Healing is much easier, you say. Okay. So, is it then for a person to discover for themselves what works? Or what recipe do you recommend for effective healing?
If you're blind, have no clue, and there's nobody else around that actually does make a difference, checking what works is actually the best thing you can do. Yeah.
Okay.
This is whatever works, who heals is right. Yeah. This is kind of the only principle when you start looking into the business. The only complicated thing at that point is to distinguish healing from making symptoms disappear, because one is not the same like the other. I can easily make a symptom disappear. If I have leg pain, I can chop off the leg, and if I'm happy, the pain is gone. But this is not healing. If I have an infection, which is a very intelligent way of the body to detox defined chemicals or hormones or toxins, and then I take antibiotics, the body says, oh, huge portion of poison coming in. I can't afford now to run this self-healing program we call disease. I have to stop it to take care of the penicillin toxin first. And then the doctor says, oh, you see, penicillin is healing the infection. It's not. The body just cannot afford anymore to go through an infection. And if you do it 3 times in a row, you prevent your body from detoxing 3 years in a row. He's completely overwhelmed with toxin, and then he needs to sacrifice cells to get somehow a way to handle the toxins. And then you call that cancer. And then the stupid doctors say, oh, there's another disease coming. No, you killed the patient by preventing the natural way of detoxing. Call the things by what they are. Medicine is a stupid way of maximizing suffering. Because we do not understand properly what's happening. And if you start to understand what's happening, everything medicine is calling disease is a highly intelligent way of self-organization. If you catch a cold, you detox. If you have one of the childhood disease, it's a transformation of the bioenergetic system from child state to adult state. In certain parts of your biochemistry stop working in a way, so you need to extract things. And whatever helps you to extract things and shift you from one order to the more adult order, we call it childhood disease. Sometimes biology finds that this body has a serious issue that should genetically not be replicated. And then a childhood disease makes you impotent, kills your fertility. This is not an accident. This is not because nature is cruel and evil. This is because nature is highly intelligent and wants to have the highest quality of life for as many people as possible. If you grow the population to a state where you have more people than the country can feed, you have too many bodies on one spot, you have an excess infrared radiation in your system, because too many people are around you, like in big cities, like in military camps, like in slave camps in Egypt. And then the excess infrared heat ignites a process that creates a pandemic that spreads to reduce population. This is not because nature is cruel. This is because nature knows if you are too many, you cannot live from a territory, you digest the territory and destroy it. And if this population grows for too long, you will go into a loop where you completely destroy the resources. And then everyone will die. The pandemic is just sorting out the weaker ones, allowing the stronger ones to survive. Beautiful concept. Problem, we are afraid of death. Why? Because we are afraid of life. That's it. We oppose nature, think we can do it better, and look around you. People don't look like humans anymore. people look like pigs or like cows or like droplets in a corner, obese, sick, lose their minds, get demented in old age, autistic in childhood. Look at a picture of a beach in the 70s. Look at the picture of a beach in the 2020s. This, excuse me, I'm not racist, but this is not my race anymore. Why? Medicine and this bad habit of poisoning the food.
Yes. And do you think then, when we talk about cancer in general, do you think it's trauma based also? Could it be? Or soul damage based, or then more on the food aspect that you intake with all this toxic shit?
It is always both at the same time.
Okay.
The question whether you get cancer is poison based. The question which cancer you get,
like for example breast cancer,
is psychology based.
Psychology based, okay.
Trauma based.
Okay.
Question what part of the body is sacrificed, because if the body needs to sacrifice a part, then it sacrifices a part with a psychological value. If there's any trauma that wants to be highlighted, it picks the form of disease that highlights trauma that needs to be looked at. Nature is beautiful, perfect. It's a miracle. It's amazing. And the mind that thinks it can reinvent it in a better way is sickening. This is kind of, we're going in layers. Name a disease where you think this disease is a disease, and prove me wrong.
Me?
Yeah.
You have dis-ease, like a dis-ease, but then you also have, it's also mostly tainted in demons, you say, right? Connected to a disease demon, but...
Yeah, this is part of biology.
This is
unless you enter the field of bioweapons, everything is fine with the disease demons. It's just a part of nature. Every genetic cluster carries consciousness.
Yeah.
Disease, infections are genetic clusters, so they carry consciousness. You can talk to them if you're fine-tuned enough in your spirit. You can see them, if they attach to your body and you think, no, today is not the day to get that disease.
Yeah, like when you talk
pull them out and that's it, and disease is gone. It's not rocket science.
It's just weird for a lot of people perception where you have the you talk a lot about demons in general, right? And you have then kraken demons, spiders, snakes.
Yeah,
but then you have many other types of demons in general that could be linked to disease, or that...
We have something that is called a disease entity or a disease demon. This is the biofield attached to the genetic cluster. It multiplies by sprouting, and then it needs one or the other way to channel to the one it wants to infect. And then it needs the genetic cluster in the body of the infected to prosper. If the genetic cluster is not there, it will not prosper.
Yeah.
Yes, and the genetic cluster is either replicated from encapsulated reservoirs. Like if you're honestly checking, we do have everything. We do have lepra, we do have Black Death, we do have everything in tiny little portions. Yeah? Question is, do you need that disease? As long as you don't need it, it's staying under control. If your immune system should decide this is what I need now
to reorganize,
then you need basically the replication of an entity that hits your body to make the resources you have on board replicate. And this hitting the body, this is something where the infection theory comes from, because if you make and you've got thousands of droplets in the air. And all the droplets have RNA of the disease in them. You create a cluster of RNA between two people. And the sprout can travel over that cluster into the other body. If there's a gap in between, this is, where medicine says there's one or the other way to get infected. You need a droplet infection, or you need just it's enough to touch something and then you get it. All sorts of different things. Some things, when they are already hosted in the body, from their genetics, it's enough to have a phone call with someone who is infected.
Whoa.
Easy going, yeah. We have seen things traveling through entire families by phone. This is frequency pattern that is reprogramming the thyroid.
And goes the thyroid, there's where they, and you feel it. You can, when something is on it and it got in and
So this is kind of the general, what is disease? Disease is always beautiful unless you have a bioweapon, or sometimes you have a parasite. If there's something I take serious, it's malaria.
Okay.
Because I don't know if my body decides whether I want to get it or not. I'm not sure, not 100% sure. There's a tiny little option I consider that if you catch malaria, it's because you have been bitten by the wrong mosquito. And nobody needs it.
No.
With our normal mosquitoes, it's something else. If you're healthy, no mosquito bites you.
Is that true?
No tick bites you if you're healthy.
So if you're a healthy person, a mosquito will not bite you?
No.
Okay. So I need to get healthy. They like my blood.
I'm living with two big dogs. We've got ticks all over the place.
And you never get bitten?
Since a couple of years, I catch them crawling all over my body until it tickles. I take them off and that's it.
But they don't bite?
They don't bite.
What?
Because there's my body signals there's no need for an infection. They are in service. Mosquitoes and ticks are in service.
To heal
spreading disease, because of the disease, the infection is needed to extract poisons from the bodies. Everyone around needs Lyme disease.
Different perception.
Everyone around needs Lyme disease because they're so over-acidified. This is why I'm lying here in pH 11 to get the acidic components out of the body. And if there's no acidity, there's no need for Lyme. Heavy metals and acidity is what attracts those things. Fungal infections, Lyme Candida,
disease,
Morgellons, everything acidity and heavy metal based. And your body is like pulling the last straw to get rid of this before it dies, and then the disease is prolonging your life.
And how do you need to get the water at 11 pH then? How do you do this? Do you get
somewhere between 10 and 11. I couldn't really check it. 11 is already quite a lot.
And let's talk then about food in general, and the fact of first before which foods, or let's say me, I have intestinal worms and parasites, or someone watching could be having it. What do you do to get them out? Or how do you even know if you have them?
What type of parasites? I mean, like worms?
Yeah, intestinal worms, And how do you clean your stomach and your microbiome within? How would you do it? Fasting or?
It depends on the type of parasite. I mean, parasites are different. I never dealt with parasites professionally, because this is something I have no deeper understanding of. My feeling is someone that is healthy doesn't have parasites. This is my feeling. I never found any in me. And I'm really living a dirty life with animals, and allowing them to lick me. And I should have caught something, but I don't. At least I don't see any coming. if I would have a diagnosis or would find any, you could check if it's about the type of food you eat. Some may be going if you stop eating meat and fish, because this is what they prosper on.
Fish, they prosper. When you eat fish, they prosper the parasites. Okay.
Yeah, so vegetarian food for a while might be enough, or fasting for a while might be enough, or looking for the right herbal mix to drive them out might be enough.
But it's not something you...
If it's not working and I just don't have the time to wait until I'm completely detoxed, I would consider chlordioxide, MMS, CDS, MMS as a side effect free antibiotic, or ivermectin if this does not help would be the last. This is how far I would get. If you have parasites, you should consider talking to a doctor.
Okay. Yeah.
If you break your leg as well.
Yes. And what about the importance of foods? You told it very importantly that I have many people in my people that I know, they are fully in good foods but not into the emotional part, and then people who are fully in the emotional but they ignore the food part, and you mastered both or looked very big into both. And I would like to know certain things about the food which are good, because there are so many things about corn. And the right or the wrong foods that you should eat when going full-scale bio. I would like to,
I mean, some things are quite easy. Going full-scale bio food means to stop eating poisons. And
GMO foods, which look good.
And GMO foods, which are full of toxins as well.
Yeah.
So stopping industrial food, we don't need to discuss it. For me, it's like elementary. If you eat poison, you get poison. So what? We don't need to discuss it.
Yeah.
Pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. Nutritional value, 10% of biofood. What do you want to eat? 1 banana or 10 bananas? How many bananas do you fit into your stomach?
Rather one good banana.
Rather one good than the 10 you don't even get in to be malnourished afterwards.
Yeah.
It simply doesn't, you need to scoff meat.
Yeah.
To replace the vegetables that don't have nutrients anymore. Because with meat, it's only like 30% of the nutritional value of a healthy growing animal. With vegetables, with plants, it's much worse. So going vegetarian with industrial food is suicide. And people feel it and say, this is not for me, I can't do it, my body is not taking it. Bullshit. You're just too clumsy to buy a better quality food. So we don't need to discuss it. Let's not waste time.
But what about
the second question? Is the basics of our nutrition.
Yeah.
I very much, not because I'm having it, but because you can learn from it, is the what is it called? The Stone Age diet. You eat roots, you eat herbs, you eat vegetables, you eat fruit. And every now and then, you eat fish and meat. But this is, if you look into nature for a purpose, in winter, veggies don't grow. Fruits, you can have nuts in winter, yes, because you can store them. But you don't have herbs and you don't have fruits. And some things are not contained in nuts, but they are contained in fish and meat. So what do you do in wintertime? Before you starve, you go hunting. Our biology is designed to take that without damage. But what you also can see in biology, if you go hunting because you're starving, it's very likely that for the next 20 hours you will need nothing and have nothing to eat. Because digesting meat Red meat needs 24 hours. If you eat vegetables after 6 hours, the digestion of the meat is interrupted because actually the body doesn't want it.
Yeah.
And then it goes, instead of being digested, it goes into a rotting process, which creates shitloads of toxins. So if you eat meat 3 times a day and have a cake in between, you have rotting material. This is why poo stinks.
Okay.
Yeah? It's not supposed to be that way.
It's not supposed to stink.
So paleo diet. This is where you find it. Paleo diet. So I'm not in resistance against meat and fish out of principle, except of saying that we have ways too much of it. But health-wise, it's not a concern to me. So in the winter time or once a week, why not? Okay, so taking the next step.
One thing before we go in the next is just when you go then vegan or plant-based more, do you need to cook the food or not? They say that you lose a lot of energy when you cook the food. Do you do that, or what do you do it when you go in full-scale bio?
I experienced that you need to adopt your body to what you eat. Yeah, when I started, I had full meals with cooked vegetables and rice and potatoes and bread and whatever. At a certain point, I realized I can't take bread anymore. Yeah? Then I realized I kind of can't take any of the grains anymore. Rice is kind of okay, but I'm not looking for it. And then you realize you like salads much more than cooked. Then you realize you like fruits more than vegetables. So it's kind of developing. Yeah? Then you get a complete desire to have eggs suddenly. So something with the protein supplies.
Eggs is good.
There's no good or bad. When your body demands something, you give it to him.
Like, for example, when you go vegan, going to have proteins, you do what a lot? Because
when your body demands something, you better give it to him.
Okay.
This is the only wisdom from all the changing diets.
Yeah.
You know? In wintertime, suddenly, I want to have fish. And then I say, okay, there must be something in it.
So sometimes you would still eat a fish, yes. Yeah. If it's not with microplastic or full of mercury.
If it's not from a Norwegian antibiotic salmon fungus.
Yeah.
Or tuna that has scoffed fish, that have scoffed fish, that have scoffed fish, that have scoffed heavy metals, You
gotta watch out,
Be careful which one.
Yeah.
Some are really not that good. But in principle, if your body demands it, give your body what it wants. But if it's demanding things out of a bad reason, find out what the reason. If you eat supermarket crap and you starve because there are no nutrients, don't tell me you need meat. Yeah? If you eat full quality bio vegetables and whatever, nuts and herbs and roots and fruits and beans, and then you tell me I need meat. Yeah, I'll go personally and hunt a deer to get you some. No problem.
Yeah. And what about then oats? Bread, you say you don't. Yeah, it's what you feel with your body afterwards. If you don't feel the bread anymore, you're gonna go away from it.
Yeah.
But oats is maybe also something GMO and like corn. And what about the GMOs you watch out for? Or you
zero GMO.
But oat is a GMO.
Depends which one.
Okay.
There's a topic with the gluten.
In oat.
In different grains like wheat, barley, and what's the third one? Gerste, I don't know the English term, what beer is made of.
Yeah.
The one beer is made of?
Oh, I guess it's called. I don't know the word also.
And they have a certain type of gluten that is damaging the inner skin of the intestines. They are making micro lesions in the gut, which allows bigger sized proteins to travel into your bloodstream. And normally it's like the damage is repaired within 6 hours and the immune system is taking care of the too big sized proteins.
Yeah.
And then everything is good again. If you have that on daily basis, it can happen after a while that your immune system considers it as a bigger problem. And then you activate your adaptive immune system to have more resources to destroy those proteins. And especially with A1 cow protein, the industrial cow that delivers 10 liters of milk per day. This cow type has a certain type of protein that resembles human proteins. So what you create when you eat gluten and drink this type of milk is an autoimmune response on this type of protein. And then you end up killing your the organ that supplies the juices for the stomach. What is it?
The juices, the
digestive juices for the stomach.
I don't know, the organ also.
English, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, go on.
First one, next one, thyroid. Third one to be attacked by autoimmune response, brain. So diabetes, hormonal disorders, and brain damage can be caused by an autoimmune response that starts with gluten. Problem is, or the thing is, as long as you are not in the state of autoimmune, it's kind of okay. You don't feel any damage done. Once you're in, either you try to get out again, which means you stop with gluten 100%. If you mess it up once in 3 months, the autoimmune response will stay online.
But in general, you wouldn't look too much at gluten then.
It
depends on your...
I don't know, if you stand in a building and you have a machine gun and every day you shoot around you, the likelihood that one day you catch a bullet that bounces back from a corner of a wall is given. Yeah? You never know when this day is, so you might consider not shooting around with a machine gun.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Maybe.
Not gluten
Maybe
then.
It's better not to.
Better not to do the gluten.
If you have gluten once in a month from childhood on, kind of you're on the road and you really would love to have a pizza now, because the only delivery service you get in bioquality is a pizza delivery, then you eat gluten. You will realize, oh, this is heavy in my stomach.
Yeah.
My digestive system is really having a hard time to digest this, but it's okay. It makes it, and you will never fall into an autoimmune response. If you have it every day, then the likelihood is given. And once you fall into this state, then your life becomes a hell. Yeah, so
no.
Risk it, don't risk it.
Don't. Yeah. No, I got you. Yeah, and yeah, just for the sake of the time, we'll go for the healing.
And in any case, eating grass is good for cows. Yeah, we adopted kind of the biology of a cow by fermenting things before we bake them. Yeah, with the yeast and the other methods of pre-fermentation. This is how a cow lives. Yeah, it swallows down the grass, and then it's fermented, and then it's up again, and then they chew it again, and then they eat it. This is what we do when we bake bread in a good quality.
Okay.
Yeah. Then it's kind of okay.
I feel mucus when I eat a lot of bread. Like, like this, yeah.
But I would never take seeds of grass without pre-fermentation. We're not meant, and if you go back to the natural resources, I met a guy, he said he's back to oak seed bread. And he spent an entire year, if he had bread, he made it himself from oak seeds.
Best thing to do, yeah.
Yeah. And next winter, he realized, I don't need to wear hot, warm clothes anymore. I can go out naked, I'm not freezing. Oops. Discovered something. Okay. Thinking about how did our ancestors survive the winter and the snow. Knowing what damage the other food does to the system. And there was a reason when the church conquered or the Roman Empire conquered the northern territories, the first thing to do was to cut down all the oak forests to make them dependent on the wheat supply from southern countries. Yeah, bread and games. Yeah, we think the games are toxic. The bread is toxic.
Wow, it's a different perspective.
Yeah.
What would we change then in your perspective?
I'm kind of good with not using flour, not eating bread, unless I have my favorite dish every now and then that needs it. Then I just do it because I like it, and I know it's every now and then it's not going to kill me. Sometimes I regret it when it's too heavy, but I do it again because it's so tasty. It happens, you know. I hate being orthodox in things.
Yeah.
But I love understanding how things work. So mostly I'm good with vegetables, beans, decent plant protein, not soya based. Soya is highly toxic.
Toxic.
Yeah, what I really like is there's a combination of pea and jackfruit protein. And you can make some of my favorite dishes like lasagna with it. And it just tastes like meat. Yeah? Without the smell of death. It's beautiful. Yeah. And it's really satisfying. You eat it and you're good for the next. And when you do it for a while, kind of, just improving your habits into the direction where you can take it with joy. Yeah? If you have the choice, red meat or white meat, take white meat. If you have the choice, white meat or fish, take fish. If you have the choice, fish or plant protein, take plant protein.
Yes.
Then you evolve into things you can handle.
But most fully go the bowl
with joy.
But bio or real
always.
food.
This is out of question. Always bio. Or wild.
But there is supermarket bio and real bio, right?
Yeah,
and
this makes a difference.
But in the supermarket...
But it's getting mixed. By now you get Demeter quality in supermarkets as well.
What is Demeter quality?
Demeter is kind of the highest standard you have in Germany.
So there is still quality becoming in the supermarket even.
And you get it in standard supermarkets as well.
Okay.
So
sometimes you can get bio
kind of
in
the rule, supermarket bio is crap. I do not trust the European labels. There's kind of this.
Yeah, with the green thing, with the yeah.
This is the
Costs
lowest,
a lot of money. And
the lowest bio.
Yeah.
It's like use a little bit less poison bio.
Okay, makes sense. Let's go to the healing. Yeah. And the fact of a lot of healers making healing happening, and they ignore entities, they don't look into contracts, they don't look into past lives, and they just, what if they don't look at those things? Can you still fully heal then? Or like, why are we having this fully specialized healing only being found by you right now and not anywhere else?
What happened is that we found two basic principles that are not widely acknowledged. The first principle is that there is a difference if one person does something to another person, or if a person does it to itself. You know, when you're identified with a screen, it doesn't look like a difference. But on soul level, it is a huge difference. You can take that metaphor. We are all projectors sitting on seats in a cinema, and we project our shared reality on the screen of the cinema. And now it makes sense. Have one character on the screen fumble around in another character on the screen. This is medicine and shamanism. Or make a projector on a seat realize that he's got a screw loose. And he takes the screwdriver and fixes himself. It is happening in a different realm. Self-healing is happening in a different realm than other healing. Other healing is happening on the screen, on the material plane. Self-healing is happening in the soul. And there's no way how one soul could reach out to another one. In this realm, self-healing is the only option. I can make my avatar on the screen, touch your avatar on the screen, to inspire him to do something with himself. Like that, yes. This is inspiration by interaction on the screen. But I can never directly reach him in the realm where the soul really exists. There's no way, because we are hooked into two different perspectives we will never meet.
Like?
We will never meet. We only meet on the screen, because there's no concept of meeting in the realm of souls. It's a different physicality where the projector is. And this is kind of the first principle. Self-healing is miraculous. Other healing, like shamanism and school medicine,
you have
is
a lot of healing.
Is limited to causalities on the screen, and it does not necessarily reach the soul. Miracles that can still happen by inspiration, but then it's not the act on the screen that heals, it's the inspiration. Like placebo effect. I give someone a pill, which makes him, as a soul, believe I'm going to be healed. And the belief is doing the job. This is placebo.
Yeah.
It's a form of weird, powerless inspiration, but it is inspiration. This is one principle. The other principle that is essential, we live and learn by restaging our lost wars. If we go through an experience and the experience is breaking us into bits and pieces, we take the damage, and then whatever is left over of us is looking for the history to repeat. And then we have the next attempt. Am I doing it this time? Either we make it or we break again. So very often you have like cascades of restaged events. And when you want to reach out to the primary damage when the soul first broke by not making it. The best thing you can do is remember the original narrative. Place yourself into the original narrative and solve your problem there. Not by restaging it another time, by taking whatever you have learned on the way, whatever strengthened you on the way, being the one you are now, going back to the initial event, just in your perception, imagination, and solving it there. Like, typical example, a little girl is abused, her spirit is victimized, she identifies as a victim, and age 20, people just keep raping her. Again and again and again and again. Because there's this beautiful writing on the forehead, I'm a victim, and every fucking perpetrator is abusing this offer. She's doing it because she wants to learn to say no. And she takes the shit until she manages. Yeah? It's not that it's her fault. We're not talking fault or guilt. It's just a neutral mechanism of repeating history. And if I have an encounter with a girl that was abused and stayed in victimhood till that point, there's no point in dealing with a late age rapes. You can just look at them, yeah, this is what happens. You go to the primary cause, which is the abuse in childhood. And then you send the little girl back to that point. And you say, remember what happened when Daddy entered the room. And now scream at him, scratch his face, and kick him out of the door. And this is a very authentic experience. If you sit on that trauma and you dive into the memory and you manage to give the story a different spin, where you make it, where you manage to say no, then two things happen. The trauma is solved, which means the ability to express feeling comes back, because of the primary no got stuck in the throat. And so she had this stupid voice and nobody could take her serious. And if she was at the park and talked with that voice, the next perpetrator said, oh, she's easy to take. Yeah? And when she goes with this no, the voice is back. This is the trauma healing aspect. And sometimes it's so painful that not only the expression gets blocked, but that an entire part of the soul dissociates and breaks away. And then when you go into this soul space of remembering the primary event, and you look around, you will see the little girl that got lost, standing in the corner like a ghost, still waiting to be reintegrated. And she's witnessing how you gather the strength to make it. And she goes like, now I trust you. I've seen that you made it. Now I can allow myself to come back home. And you can make a golden thread between the two heart chakras, from the client to the soul loss, and import that lost little girl into the bioenergetic setup. And then the soul loss is healed. And this miracle happens mostly in the primary setup. You hardly can achieve it when you go to any letter rape in the park, because there is no real emotion. She already was broken when this happened to her. Yeah. There's no primary pain to find, because she's already in a state of being numb. She's repeating the mechanics in a numb way, trying to find the feeling that got lost. This is why you restage, and often it doesn't work. And if you take it on the therapeutic plane, you can consciously go to the primary event and bring the entire thing to an end by reintegrating what got lost. And the other thing is, sometimes you scan the entire lifetime and you don't find the primary thing there. But suddenly you get pictures and memories of things that look like the 17th century with soldiers in weird uniforms, and no fire guns, but only swords and knives. And then you realize, okay, apparently what I'm looking for must have been in a different lifetime. And then you go there and you make the job there. And then the first incident in this lifetime was just a trigger to make the human remember, this is what I need to look at. This is what I'm looking for the final healing. And when you look even deeper, you find a repeating concept of karmic cycles, where you have a primary incarnation where it's about the perpetrator contracting things in a way that the misery becomes possible. Thank you. So sometimes you discover a complete karmic cycle where you have an initial lifetime where you make contracts to be able to commit a crime. So you're tortured in your childhood. This is agreed on. The soul has said yes to this experience. Then you're depleted, degraded to very thin consciousness left, capable of committing a crime. And after having committed the crime, it ripples through the time with effects like the children of the one who suffered are weird, the grandchildren are weird. It's just like a cascade of disorder you create, like ripples of disorder. And when you then incarnate into the people who suffer from this disorder, you collect all the victim aspects of the same incident. So you have the perpetrator, then you have the victim. The perpetrator is without compassion. He does whatever he does, and he doesn't care because he doesn't feel anything anymore. Then, when he goes into the victim, he can regain the ability to feel that pain he caused. And this is necessary because later, going back to the incident where he was the perpetrator, he needs to restore compassion. And if I restore compassion with my victim, I need to be able to stand in the pain I caused. This is the only reason for karma. Karma is training me to stand in the pain I caused when I was unconscious, to enable me to stand in the pain of my victim when I become conscious again. It's a training camp. Victimhood is a training camp. Nothing else. And maybe in between you have a lifetime or two where you try the savior role to connect the dots, to look at victims and perpetrators from above, to understand how this interaction works. So you can be someone who rapes, you can be raped, and you can work in a women's shelter for raped women, fighting off the perpetrators that stand in front of the window and scream, "Give me my wife back." You know, 3 different perspectives.
Yes,
you get 3 different basic setups of consciousness: victimhood, perpetrator, and savior. mentality. And when you have managed to gather all those perspectives, it's a very funny effect. It's like you've been a character in a book, and then you have been the other character in the same book, and then you've been the third character. And when you gather it all into one perspective, it is as if you become the author of the book. This is when the soul graduates to unity consciousness. And this is, I wouldn't define that this is healing. It is something else. For me, the definition, because we initially decided to talk about healing, the definition of healing is like with a car. Imagine you buy a brand new Mercedes and then you go on a road trip and then you bump into a tree and you lose a part of your front assembly. And then you think like, okay, no, the engine is getting wet, and you wrap some plastic around it to keep the water out, and then you rip away your side mirror and you put something else, and then you lose a tire and you place a wooden wheel instead to make it home. This is life. You go into adventures and you keep losing parts of you that don't make it. And then maybe the main air inlet gets blocked, which would be a classical trauma, and then you drill a hole somewhere to get air to the engine. So you've got a hole there, and then someone thinks it could be helpful to have a hair dryer, blow more air in, and then he sticks a hair dryer into that slot to give your engine more air, and you're happy with it, because the engine sounds healthier with this external thing. Once you come to the workshop, the entire shit is taken out. You go back to the places where you have lost your parts, you get them back, and you get them fixed back into place. Until you are exactly the car you have been at the beginning, just that you traveled around the world a couple of times. And you really learned to appreciate your design. This is why you travel, to learn to appreciate your design by losing it. So I would place the definition of healing just for trauma, soul split, and soul loss. This is what classical healing is. You lose something, you block something, you unblock it, you regain it. And all the other things humans do is what you need to look at, what you do, but it's not the classical definition of healing for me. If you create a personality for yourself because you can only survive as a liar, so you have the notorious liar in you as a self-created demon that runs your life, because this is the best way.
I had that, yes.
The best way to survive. You can one day decide to destroy that personality again, to burn it, to let go of it. And then you can be yourself again. It's a useful step to take, but it would not come by the definition of healing for me. It's more development.
There are many personalities that you...
I would call it development more than healing.
That you see what you're doing is not good, so you change it, just the personality.
Yeah. If you regain access to previous lifetimes and integrate the aspects, this is about closing karmic cycles. This is something you should do at the end of a cycle.
Which is now happening.
Which is now, yeah. So this is not healing, this is closing a karmic cycle. It's a very useful thing to do when you want to graduate back into unity consciousness. All you need to understand is how karmic cycles work, and that it's completely normal to be in one of them, and that there's no point in judging what you've done, because you only judge from the internal perspective. If you want to gather everything, you stand outside of it, and then there is nothing to judge and nothing to be ashamed of. Just honesty to be applied. This is what I lived. Wow, what an adventure.
And then, getting access to the parts of that, what you lived in the past, is then on you to gain that emotional memory by doing good food and meditating.
The body is the tool to experience all of this. So it makes sense to keep the tool as healthy and as receptive as possible.
Yeah.
So if you have toxins inside, it's like white noise. You want to hear the tiny little voices inside of yourself. For example, in compassion. If your entire system screams, poison, poison. And then there's someone with a tiny little emotion in the corner of his soul, you will not get it. Because it's too loud in you. It's a very important point with eating meat. From the nutritional point of view, it might make sense at a certain point.
Yeah.
It might make sense. From a spiritual point of view, you ingest death. And this gives you a signature that numbs down. There's a reason why a cat and a lion and a wolf can kill without compassion. There's a reason to it, because it's necessary for nature to open that possibility. Because if a dog would not kill in free nature, it would starve. There's a reason to the choice what animal the dog kills, but still, the necessity of the act of killing needs you to have an exemption from compassion at that point. And you have that when you eat meat. If you want to work in a healing profession and you want to have compassion with your clients, you'd better not.
You better not eat meat, yeah, because it kills the compassion. This is why I was a compassionless, cruel monster, I could say, in the past. And I would only eat meat and get mad if I get vegetables. This was my life before.
I had a really intense point after 3/4 of a year of being vegetarian. I walked through a supermarket, and behind me was the layout of the meat. And I didn't even look at it, but I just could feel, oh, there's something weird around me. What is it? And then my system opened up, and I got a wave of pain on cellular level. And it kicked me off my feet.
Yeah.
It was like getting hit by lightning.
Yeah.
My knees went.
You feel the
and
animals,
the
the
entire
pain
body
connected.
contracted in pain, because this was the cellular memory I could pick up in compassion in that moment. And it completely changed the perception in healing sessions. Suddenly, I realized what's happening in other people, because my system opened for perception.
And what about the healing that we can do on our own in the best way? Since, like, for now, getting a process here is kind of not an easy thing. Maybe also costs some money for a lot of people, that it's not directly easy done. So what could they do, to do this by their own? Or
it's always the same path. You start on the physical plane, start detoxing your body to be capable of sensing anything. Then you start working on your lower chakras. And you just check, am I capable of feeling properly? Do I have proper flowing anger when I need to be angry? Do I have lust? Do I have creativity? Do I have fear? Do I have will? This is the lower chakras. And when there's anything missing, you start to look for the question, where did I lose it? How can I regain it? And you ask yourself the questions and you allow yourself to receive the answers on whatever way they come. This is something anyone can do within self. And at the end of the day, you will be fully conscious regarding your lower
chakras.
Yeah.
And then you go there.
And then it goes...
Here we're not talking about the heart actually
not
already.
talking about
No.
the heart yet. Then there's some form of test coming. When the lower emotions are completely free, then your ego is tested. Because you with the free flow of feeling, you automatically become also compassionate. And you can tell all the other people exactly where they stand. It pushes you into a very powerful position. I've seen people who abuse that position to get people into codependency to rip off the money. Because they felt so superior and picked out people who wanted to have guidance, and then that was worth thousands and thousands and thousands of euros to be paid. Because the ability falls into an ego position in the heart. When you realize that this is just a divine gift, and when I use my divine gift, I'm just a channel, and the adventure that flows through me, I'm the spectator who is allowed to enjoy the show. But it's not me doing this. I'm just the channel, and I love to serve. Yeah. Then you can go past the heart, and the higher abilities start to wake up. Yeah. Then your clairvoyance will come back. Then the connection to the divine will come back, because when you appreciate being a channel, the channel opens. And then you receive full guidance, and then you can open up to Mother Earth as well. Some people have that earlier, the lowest chakra, the first one. But normally you connect to the male divine aspect first in the Western culture, before you manage to open up to the female.
Of Gaia, you mean?
Yeah, it's buried quite deeply with most of the people, that connection. Mostly because of shame. Because our spirits know what we've done to them. And this is kind of regaining first full control over yourself. Not control, full permeability.
In meditation, doing inner work. It's not necessary.
If you want to meditate, but mostly these techniques come with philosophies. And the philosophies limit your possibilities. The best teacher is yourself and source and universe. Yeah. I did have some trainings, and I have to admit I had good teachers for some basic things. Like for a period in my life I was involved in something similar to Reiki, Sukyo Mahikari, just to enable me to feel energies flowing through my body and making my body permeable, letting the energy flow through without getting blocked anywhere. Cleansing your meridians, becoming aware of signatures of energy. That was a beautiful training field for perceiving bioenergetic qualities.
You learned it with a good teacher, did Reiki.
Yes. It was one thing, but it was just like healing with your hands at the end of the day.
It's not the full thing, actually.
Put your hand on a pain and the pain disappears.
But that's not, it doesn't fully...
Basics.
It's not taking away the roots of the pain.
No. It's just basics of comforting each other and being in exchange energetically.
Yeah.
Which can do miracles, but it's more like being conductive for mercy if you do it.
Yeah.
And the other education I had was called psychic reading. You were sitting in front of a complete stranger and you were telling him his life without knowing. He said yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, nothing else. Only 2 words allowed. And after doing this for a while, you can identify the sources of truth and the sources of lie within your own system.
Oh.
It's just a training field.
Like you say, training, seeing things that I don't see, for example, still yet.
I know nothing about you. I meet you for the first time, yeah, and then I start talking about you.
Yeah.
And I start to make statements about you and your history. And if I'm right, you say yes, and if I'm wrong, you say no, nothing else. This is the training environment. And after a while, I start to identify the source of truth and the sources of lies in my body. And the source of lie is always my ego. When I lie, when I get something wrong, it's always because I'm judgmental about you. My ego wants to be judgmental. And I get everything wrong. And if I have compassion, I'm 100% right. If I have a third eye vision, I'm 100% right. And if I start talking and can observe myself kind of going to the spectator role, and it talks through me, I'm 100% right. That was kind of the
You have to cut off the ego there, right?
Yeah. This is kind of the ego-free state when the perspective goes into a complete spectator role. It's looking from far away what's happening. And the body is sitting here and it's talking and you listen to yourself and you say things you don't know. Oops, what did I say? Oops, what did I say? But it's right, it's correct. You get a yes. And that was quite fruitful training.
Plus the training you told me yesterday where you were the one testing your astral capabilities of your eyes, learning to see things, spirits, ghosts, but also...
No. The only other thing I mentioned yesterday was for a completely different purpose. I was meddled into adventurous stuff with some treasure hunters. And the only option to get the story done was someone learning to use a rod.
A rod?
Dowsing rod.
Yeah.
And with a dowsing rod, you need to know what you look for. Because the rod reacts on an energetic interaction between the treasure and your bioenergetics. So if you don't know how to spell gold in bioenergetics, you can't find gold, the dowsing rod. So I decided to train myself.
To see gold.
To be able to use the dowsing rod on the treasure hunt. And the basic training setup was to put a silver coin, and a copper coin, and a gold coin into little matchboxes without seeing what's inside, and then putting the hand above to see with the bioenergetics, can I identify the signature of that metal? And then you continue with all sorts of
but then you were able
gemstones and other materials, because it's becoming kind of interesting and you get curious what material has what signature. And then you can discover things that, for example, jade, the signature of jade is identical to sadness.
Yeah.
Where the kingdom of minerals and the kingdom of animals overlap in their energetic expressions. Interesting field of research. What feeling equals what mineral. You
then learn all these things to be able to
I was just
very...
I just wanted to get that fucking treasure into my pocket.
No, but like when it comes down to healing, we live in an astral world, right? And there are things which a lot of people can't see, but they harm them, like entities or demons. And this is also something that then gets into your energetic field, which you then need to take out. But if you're not aware, and you are aware and you feel and see and have the self-perception of then...
The thing with the demons mostly is the de-identification. When you run with your demons and you're one with your demons, you don't see them. Because you regard them as a part of you. They're in you, they control your behavior, and you can't do anything about it because you don't even know that they're there. And the trick is, at a certain point, you start to de-identify from them. You realize, this behavior, I don't think this is me doing it. So who the fuck is doing this? Yeah, who is the guy watching porn every evening? I don't want that. So why am I doing this? And then you start the process of de-identification. And at a certain point, you will see the demon pushing the enter button after typing in YouPorn.
Yeah.
Not making advertisements for any platform.
Wow.
And this is how it starts. You start to de-identify, and when you have de-identified from demons of a certain class yourself, then you will start to see them in others. But it's kind of always the initial learning process of identifying that what you do is not you. What you do is something fringe, different. Yeah? And then you start to struggle with them for a while. Yeah? And then you start to learn why they sit in you, what injury opened the wound to let them in. And then it's about time to...
Like addiction, smoking cigarettes is also connected to it. Or weed or...
No. Most of the addictions are connected to the child that didn't get milk from mom from breast. Or did get milk, but no love with milk. And then the baby grew up without trust in the universe. And then it's looking for a replacement to regain that trust. And then you have the beer bottle that looks like a breast, beautiful brown breast.
Let's
or
go.
The nipple of it. And you get addicted to the substance. So you desire it so much. I want to have my next cigarette. I need to smoke. There it comes.
Yeah.
Desire satisfaction. And this is what's building up this basic trust into the universe. And when it's there, suddenly you go like, what am I doing here? Who needs that fucking smoke?
I'm doing this. I learned my lungs. What is this?
Yeah, I'm feeding the bastards owning Marlboro.
Yeah.
And then it's easy to let go of it.
It just takes some pain.
You can take it, if you want to look at it as a healing step, you can call in the deva of the plant you're addicted to. The deva of the tabak plant or the deva of the...
The deva is the spirit.
The spirit. The spirit of the plant. And then you call in the little boy that didn't get the breast. And you acknowledge that the two of them have a contract. And you ask the little boy if he had enough. You ask the little boy, do you trust the universe now? And he will say, probably, yes. I think I had enough to learn to trust the universe. And then you say, do you want to quit the contract with the plant spirit? And then they will dance a little bit with it because these plant spirits and the little children are best friends. It's a divine encounter between the two. Addiction can be ugly, but this unification of the little boy that got lost in you and the plant spirit is an absolutely divine encounter. And then they say goodbye from each other. And the little boy lets go of the connection to the plant spirit, of his desire to have it instead of mother's milk. And then he decides, okay, from now on I will not need a breast. And then he can start to grow in you and becomes part of your adult self. And then the addiction is gone.
But the time that you then quit, and it's like a painful time then from then. No, actually not.
No, if you make it in the proper way, there's zero pain.
Okay.
The pain comes as long as the contract starts.
What about then the pharmaceutical antidepressants or other types of deep?
If you have
addictions
type
to that.
of addiction on the biochemical level, that you start to replace neurotransmitters, and by replacing them, the body is losing the ability to manufacture them itself.
Yes.
Then you get a physical addiction. The physical addiction, it's kind of easy. You need 3 days of discipline. Clear
when you stop from antidepressants. Yeah. Okay.
Take the pain.
Yeah.
Make yourself aware that this is a buy now, pay later agreement.
Yeah.
And that there's no way around pain. Yeah? You avoided pain. Now contract is dissolving, so you get the pain and you deserve it. Welcome it. Welcome it as something you go through. And stay in it in discipline. With a clear decision, I'm quitting this now, whatever it takes. And then you go through the days of pain. And from a certain point, your body will start to detox. And the detox state feels much better than the toxified state. And feels much better than the feeling of addictive desire. And then you can make yourself realize that you have a choice what to focus on. You can give the desire to go back into the addiction space and focus on the desire that is unfulfillable, unless you go back in. Or you make the conscious choice to focus on this beautiful, clean feeling in your body that feels so good and so healthy. And the moment you focus on the healthy aspect of getting clean, the pain is gone. And you can experience that this is a choice you make. And then mostly after 3 weeks, it comes to a point where you say, oh, that was so easy.
I should have done it way earlier.
No, I think having a cigarette or two can do nothing to me. Yeah, because it was so easy, you think I didn't have an addiction problem. It's not a problem at all. I mean, I quit it without any hassle. Yeah, so if I smoke 1 or 2 today, tomorrow, and then you restart. And this is this is the addictive personality you have created that is running the social aspect of the addiction. Because if you don't live according to the narrative of the personality, it doesn't get energy. And then the personality starts starving energetically. And after 3 weeks, it starts to panic because it's close to death. And then it needs to revive the addiction to get energy. And then you can focus on that personality and say, I know you, I have created you. And because I have created you, I dissolve you now. You pull it out and you burn it. And then that aspect is gone. So for every single step, there's an easy way out. doesn't mean start an addiction because it's easy to get out. It's difficult enough. Yeah, but you need to understand the bioenergetics, and then it's all something you can handle in a proper way.
You were always worthy of having everything. You're going through everything, whatever you need to go through. And you often speak about the heart chakra frequency, and actually when I came in contact with you really touched my heart in your lectures, and it looks to me that I opened my heart chakra actually. But then I look into the book and you describe an energetic dynamic of an upside down black tornado with a mirror symmetry that enters through the root chakra and into the vortex tube and ends in the thin end of the vortex tube in the heart. So there are like maybe different types of opening the heart chakra, if that makes sense. Or like, yeah, how can we authentically just fully open it then? If it's not fully open for me then, but still I have this heart connection now where I'm able to feel, which I was not able to a year ago.
The revolution of healthy living starts here. Feel the power of sea moss, shilajit, black seed oil, and many more organic bio-based superfoods. Discover nature's strength with over 10 collections and 100 products to start living naturally. Unlock your wellness today at mymineral.com.